What is the name of that server? I know I spun that up last week. Hey guys, what's going on? Brandon Lee with Virtualization How To. And I know that you guys have been there before. You spin up so many services in the home lab, new virtual machines, new containers, new applications, new Kubernetes clusters, new IP addresses. The list goes on and on and on. And how frustrating is it when you revisit a particular home lab project that you may have been working on a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and you cannot remember what services you have up and running? You could benefit greatly from a home lab dashboard. Guys, I want to tell you that running a home lab dashboard is one of the most underrated, underutilized services that you can run inside your home lab environment. So today we're going to take a look at how to quickly spin up a simple and easy home lab dashboard using an open source solution that I think is really awesome. It's called Dashy. Using Dashy, you can spin up a home lab dashboard in just seconds, and it's easy to customize, has great features and functionality. So guys, make sure the coffee is hot and let's dive into some home lab dashboard with Dashy. So guys, what is Dashy? It is a totally open source, awesome project for home lab enthusiasts that allows us to build customizable home lab dashboards that are not only functional, but they look great and they have additional capabilities and functionality. As you can see from the homepage of Dashy, the open source project, and you can browse to Dashy via dashy.to or .to. According to the homepage, is an open source, highly customizable, easy to use dashboard app, and it is packed full of features. And I can tell you this from experience with this home lab dashboard solution that it is really awesome what it can do. But just a few of the things that I want to highlight mentioned on the homepage for Dashy. It includes status checks, keyboard shortcuts, dynamic widgets, auto-fetched icons, font awesome support, built-in authentication, themes. Also, something that I find really awesome and cool is the fact that there is a built-in config editor. So you're not having to redeploy a Docker container to gather all of the changes that you've made to configuration files. You can actually do that with Dashy on the fly, and that makes it, to me, extremely awesome. You also have the ability to change the layout of the home lab dashboard to fit the look and feel that you want to achieve with that. And again, the solution is totally open source, totally free, and from what I have seen, it is actively developed. So let's take a closer look at how we can actually deploy Dashy in a Docker container. Getting started with Dashy is super simple. As we can follow along on the Get Started link on the Dashy homepage, we can click Get Started and we can see the installation on step 2. Now to level set, what I am going to do is install Dashy in a Docker container running on an Ubuntu 22.04 LTS virtual machine that I'm running in the home lab environment with Docker installed and all the prerequisites that go along with that. For the installation, it's a simple pull of the Docker container for Dashy. And if we notice, the installation gives us an example of actually providing our own config.yaml file. However, this is not required by default to get up and running. If we simply pull the container, Dashy will automatically provision a configuration file for us on the fly. So if we copy the command from the installation page and we paste this into a notepad document, we can simply remove the configuration file parameter and simply pull the container. We're going to look at port 8080 for external access that will point to the internal port of port 80. Name the container, so we're going to call this cloud-dashboard, restart always, and of course the Docker image name. We have copied the Dashy configuration into our clipboard and we're going to paste this into our running Ubuntu 22.04 LTS virtual machine. I'm going to paste from the clipboard. We're going to take just a quick look at the configuration to make sure it copied and pasted correctly. We've got our ports configured, we've got the name, we've got restart always, and we've got the Docker image. The Docker image is pulling down, and once the image pulls, it will spin up the Dashy Docker container. We can give it a quick look once the Docker image has successfully downloaded, just to look at the Docker images we have running. And you can see I've got GitLab running as well. Now we also have the Dashy Docker container up and running. So everything looks good there. Now what we need to do is use a web browser and browse out to port 8080 of our Docker container host to see if we indeed have a good installation and can connect to the web interface. Now that we're back to the desktop, I have pasted in the URL for the Dashy container website that we configured with the provisioning of our Dashy container. And you can see I've got an IP address and port 8080. So let's browse out and see what we find. And here we go. We've got a newly installed Dashy Dashboard. One of the things I really like about the defaults with Dashy is that it defaults to a getting started tile that has all of the information and how-tos and documentation readily available that is clickable from your new Dashy homepage. So we can actually look at the documentation from our Dashy dashboard, or we can immediately begin configuring our dashboard. So just a few fundamentals with spinning up a new dashboard. You can leave the getting started tile, as you can remove that later if you want, but I like to leave it just in case there's something I want to refer back to. If you notice, we have several items at the very top in the top right hand corner that allow us to configure this Dashy configuration for our dashboard. If you notice, we can change the theme quickly and easily if we prefer. We can go back and forth between various themes. You can change the layout. You can adjust the item size. And the one in particular that we want to adjust and configure is under the config option. So we can click the little pencil icon. And when you click the pencil icon, this essentially places you in configuration mode for your Dashy dashboard. As you notice, we can actually now add a new section. No YAML configuration is actually required. So you don't have to tweak and configure YAML code or worry about your syntax there to easily get started. You can simply do the configuration and adjust your layout, theming, adding new items, all from the GUI, which is awesome. So I'm going to click the Add New Section. I'm going to add a new networking tools section. And as you note, you have several other configuration items we could add. We can point the configuration to an icon if we prefer. We can choose the default sorting options, the number of columns, if it's collapsed by default. I'm going to go ahead and save that. So now, as you see, we've got a new networking tools section. And already we have the ability to add a new item. So on this configuration page, very similar to adding a new section, we can add a new configuration item or new item to the group. Just going to call this network portal, and I'm going to call this ip.cloud.local, add the URL. On the opening method, you can select the behavior when you click on the new item. So do you want it to open a new browser tab or use the same parent tab? I'm going to select new tab. And if you notice also, really awesome and interesting items that can be added using the Dashy dashboard configuration. You can actually add status checks. So we can say we want to enable status check. We can select this to true. We can also disable SSL checks. We can add a status check for max redirects or accepted HTTP codes. So we can do a number of things that are really interesting in the home lab, including actually monitoring or performing status checks on the services that we add in the dashboard. So I'm going to click save. And if you notice, we already have our network portal added. Now, point to note, if you note in the very bottom, we can save this locally or we can save to disk. If you save locally, really just saves to your particular browser session. So it's going to save that configuration locally to your device. However, what we want to do is to actually save the configuration to disk. And what this actually does is it saves the configuration file that is pulled from for the Dashy dashboard. So in other words, it makes it persistent. So if we click the save to disk, now we have our networking tools section that we've added, and we've got a new item added to our networking tools. One of the interesting things that we can do, and that's really cool from the Dashy dashboard configuration, is that it allows you to dynamically pull really nice looking icons for your services. And there's actually a freely available catalog and repository of those nice looking icons that you can pull for your home lab dashboard. If you just Google Dashy and home lab icons, you will land on this page. And there's actually a repo that is readily available. If you click the see here for a full list of available icons, it will take you to the listing of actual image files that we can use for icons. And there is over 300 out here. For instance, if we wanted to add an image pointed to Unify controller, we can easily do that with a readily available web address that we can add to our Dashy configuration. So if we go back over to our web portal, we're going to edit the configuration and we're going to paste in the icon URL. So I'm going to paste in the Unify controller.ping file. I'm going to click save. And as you can see, we have the correct Unify controller icon for our network service. So as quickly and easy as that, you can pull really nice looking icons to go along with your web service URLs or your other home lab resource URLs. And there are many out there that most likely match with many of the services that you're running in your home lab environment today. What can Dashy Dashboard look like? Well, Dashy actually provides a live demo of many home lab services that have been added. And this looks amazing to me. As you can see, you can really customize the layout, the look and feel, changing it to meet your own needs in the home lab, and overall just make it look really nice. And what I like to do in my browser session is I now have my browser configured to open a new tab pointed to my Dashy Docker container, so that every new tab that I open, I automatically have access to the Dashy dashboard in case I want to immediately browse to a service in the home lab environment. What do you guys think about home lab dashboards? Dashy is a really great open source option, as we have taken a look at, that allows you to make sense of the chaos often that can be a home lab environment. Having a home lab dashboard, I have found, has allowed me to be more organized and to keep sense of all of the services that I have running in the home lab environment, which not only makes it more enjoyable, but it eliminates frustration when you want to continue working on projects. Let me know what dashboard project that you're using in your home lab environment. Granted, there are many out there that are equally great. I have tried and used several others that look great and they operate very well. For me, Dashy was just the one that I settled on. So let me know in the comments what you guys are using. Well, I'm Brandon Lee. Please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you guys soon.